In 1923, an organization was born. 90 years ago, I am sure those men and women didn't think this town would be too small to support a chamber, or a commercial club as it was called back then. These visionaries must have looked at the people of this community and thought about the future of these businesses and what good hands they would be left in. How many of you would think such a small town could have such a great and strong organization? I am proud myself to be a part of such a great organization that is there for the businesses and the community. 90 years is a long time. Think of the things that have passed through time and the changes that have been in this town through the many years. How about the story of Mr. John Saft, that had the first mortuary in town and a furniture store to go with it? All the businesses closed their doors when he died to attend the funeral and pay respect to this town noble. Remember the story of the old Dairy Queen that was ran over by a big truck? How about the fires and the floods and the gunfights that happened in town? We always hear of those types of stories, but look at the success stories like the Mitchells and the Campbells and the Skaggs and the Buzzards and the Greens and the Bradys that have operated businesses here in the past, and now others are making history. What about the growth of the schools? And how about a stronger chamber? Can you imagine 90 years ago and living then and skipping to this town of 2013? Just imagine the changes. Let's take a moment of remembering something from the past with our fellow proud Senecans here today. We have Frank Skaggs and Max Lankford and Wayne King with us today. And so tell us what your store was in Seneca and what years you operated in Seneca.
My store was the White Whale Oil Company. I sold feed, gas, and oil, and just kind of a got them down store. And the years was 1968 through 1988.
1968 to 1980. What was owning a business like in Seneca back then?
Well, it was challenging, I'd say. We didn't, I guess for back then we made enough money, but we made about 3 cents a gallon on gasoline and 10 to 20 cents on 100 pounds of feed. And we sold garden seed with a little more profit, but it's slower coming in. It was seasonal.
Yep.
But it was, we enjoyed it. We had a good time. We spent a lot of time at the store.
The question is, why did you choose Seneca for your business? I mean, apparently you weren't making lots of money at this situation, so, you know.
Well, we'd seeing the people. I had a lot of people come in weekly, and some more often than that, and I seen them every week, and I had several loafers come in, and I got to visit with them, so, and it just gets in your blood, really.
Seneca just kind of gets in your blood a little bit. I like that quote there, Frank, because that's the truth. And I had questions for you here. I have a question. What year did you come to Seneca?
1948.
In 1948. And so where were you working at, and what did you do?
Well, I was at our Indiana plant, Warsaw, Indiana, and we had just built a new facility there. And we then took the equipment out of the old facility and shipped it to Seneca. So I actually arrived in Seneca on April the 2nd.
And so what did you do for the Millnut plant in Seneca?
Well, I come as plant engineer, and then we opened in August of 1948.
How long did you work there?
35 years.
35 years at Millnut.
Retired in 1983.
In 1983 is when you retired. And so what made you go ahead and stay in Seneca?
I think it was the people.
The people.
You know, we loved Seneca, the area. I had opportunities to go back after the plant was put together. I could have gone back to the Indiana plant, but I had the option of staying here, and my wife and I just loved it, and I liked the people, and so we decided we'd just stay.
So we have Frank here that owned a business here, and then we have Wayne that was working here in town, and Max has been a part of the community of Seneca for a long time and has been a proud patron of the Seneca business. I got a question for you as a patron of the businesses, and the now and in the past as well. What is a standout memory of the businesses in Seneca that you could think of?
Well, mainly it was like the grocery stores. You had several grocery stores here in this little town, and also dry goods stores, hardware. But the grocery stores is the main thing that really stands out in my memory. Saturdays was a big day in this little town. Everybody came to town on Saturday.
Changes that you've noticed in Seneca from the past, even then and to now?
Well, there've been a lot of changes in it. Just in my memory, one change, for example, is like Mike here at the Campbell Middleton Funeral Home, they built a new parking lot. In my memory, there was a feed store there years ago. My dad worked at that feed store.
Yeah.
And also, where the picket fence
flea market's
at now. My dad, at that time, he bought eggs and cream in the back of that store. There's no elevator in there. I remember as a child, I'd play on that elevator going up and down.
See those changes as time changes, you know, because I can even remember the old feed mill down by the railroad tracks as a kid, you know, and going in there and buying even rabbits, you know, and things like that change. You know, we see the United States change, and even our small town changes like that. However, I think that we're starting to see some of the small business stuff starting to come back around, and maybe it's just the time of changes.
Well, I've had the privilege of being in an area here that seen many changes, from Big Chief tablets to now computers and internet. So that's quite a change.
And how many years you been in this community, Max?
75 years.
75 years. Frank, how many years you've been in this Seneca community?
79 years.
79 years. And I think it's 65 years. Is that what you said, Wayne, for you?
65 years. Yes. And I'm almost 91.
Wayne, you take a lot of pictures of Seneca. What draws you to take a lot of pictures of the Seneca area?
Pleasure of taking a lot of nice pictures. Seneca is really a beautiful town.
Yeah.
My wife had a relative that was with the federal law enforcement, and they spent a lot of time here in Seneca. And when we decided we were going to move here from Warsaw, Indiana, they kind of alerted us to all the bad things. But we found that entirely different.
Totally different.
We just fell in love with Seneca, and it's had its ups and downs, but it's got a lot of ups as far as we're concerned.